Hello, and welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and we have a new Stator for the CBF1000. So what I'm going to do is throw that on now. It's essentially the reverse of how it came out. I'm just going to give everything a quick clean as best I can, and then we're going to fit it. This is a Electrosport high performance Stator, high temp rated. It's apparently an upgrade. Pat from Freeman's got it in for me in like 3 days, so thank you very much, Pat, or I would not be able to bring the bike to Wales. But anyway, what I'm going to do is quickly give the flywheel a clean as best I can, just to make sure there's nothing kind of remaining in there, and then we're going to refit this. So yeah, it should be hopefully straightforward, and then we should be able to throw everything back in. Oh, something I forgot to mention in the first video is the battery is out of the bike, and I am replacing that just to be safe. The rectifier seems to be fine, and someone did mention it. I think later their comment disappeared. I don't know if they deleted it or whatever else, but they did point out there's ways to test the rectifier. I did do that, but I'm not confident on my method. I'm not confident on am I correct. I'm not really a electrical person, that's why I didn't put it in the video. But there are other people who've done videos on that. If you want to look up how to test a rectifier, just, you know, search for it in the search bar or whatever else. And maybe one day I'll have the confidence to do it myself. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so first and foremost, what we want to do is refit our Stator to the cover. Obviously, do not drop the Stator when you're opening it. And also, don't damage the terminals. So, you know, be very careful opening the plastic bag that it comes in. And basically, what you want to do, we can kind of tidy everything up later, is you want to figure out where this sits, like that in there. We'll clean that up in a minute, right? But basically what we're going to do is, now we know that that's there, and there's our bolt holes. Basically you want to line it up in such a way that this rubber guy here, which is actually a seal, will sit in there. We'll have to pin that down then in a while. So once you have that installed, you just want to pinch them all up. There are torque specs for these. You may look them up yourself if you want to use them. Personally, I'm going into an aluminium thing, so I'm just going to feel it out. And just tighten from corner to corner, like that. To make sure, because it'll work itself down and seat itself basically. Let's clean that a bit. Now the other thing is you want to make sure your dowels are in, and now what I'm going to do is fit this guy here. This is also important, very important in fact. So hold down the cable, basically stop it getting in the way. So I'll tighten that up in just a second, but basically to show you, this little guy right here actually holds the cable down and away from this, which the flywheel will spin around. So it's really important to remember to do that and do it right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this whole surface, which I've kind of sanded off. I'm going to give one more wipe off in case there's a bit of oil on it now. And I'm also going to put a little bit of RTV silicone, which is just room temperature vulcanizing silicone. I'm using grey because it's kind of grey. All the way around. I'm going to dab it on with my finger to keep it kind of neat. I'm also going to put a bit in here and then across the back, and then we'll refit this. Okay, so while that's kind of setting, you don't need to worry too much about that stuff. It'll take its time to set. I'm just going to give over here one last polish around the engine case, and now we're going to put this in place. Now, the one thing I will say is be really careful with your fingers, because this thing could snatch as you put it in because it's magnetic, and it would be a really bad way to break your fingers. Would not be fun. Okay, so that's all our bolts in, and now I'm just going to tighten them in a crisscross pattern. I'm just going to go like loosely hand tight first. Now what you want to make sure of as well is if you've got any kind of like overspill of RTV silicone on the outside, you want to clean it off now before it sets. Otherwise it will be there forever. The main thing is, and I didn't even manage to do it very well there, is to try plug everything in and just being careful not to catch your fingers and have everything lined up nicely. That's the kind of important bit. It's difficult to do. I'm sure there are people out there who can do it no problem, professionals and whatever else. I am not a professional, I'm just doing my best. Now what we want to do is plug this back in here. Ta-da! And put back on our cable tie here. Lovely. And then pull back down our sock over that stuff. So now what I need to do, I'm not going to bore you when I reinstall all these bolts, which is for all the coverings and fairings. What I want to do pretty quickly is get the battery back in and give the bike and charging a test. So what I'll do now is throw in the new battery over here, and I'll come back to you then to test everything. Really hard to do with one as a person on my own. Okay. So, I don't know, could you see that? And I apologize, I'm a person on my own trying to record this, so if you couldn't, sorry. I'm not only a person on my own trying to record this, I'm a pretty frustrated person because I've had very little time this week and then this happened, and it took me far too long to put the battery back in because lining up the battery in the CBF as soon as you add any cables is a pain in the ass. And also the battery I got doesn't have captive thread points, so that was also a pain in the ass. So yeah, not in a delighted mood right now. Now the only thing is, it does charge, it starts again, which is great. I'm just going to I've just fitted a Healtech Thunderbox, which literally connects directly onto the battery, and it's supposed to basically act as my live for everything, so I'm going to test that. Oh, okay, it does work so far. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to try get all this done now and cleaned up, because I need to pack and stuff, so yeah, I'll come back to you soon. And just like that, I'm actually back from Wales to finish this video, because I actually changed that Stator, what, 3 days ago. That was changed on Thursday night. It is now Monday evening after work, and that's where we are, and it lasted perfectly. So anyone who's going to comment that I did it wrong, maybe I did, and it's still gonna fail soon. But anyway, yeah. So let's talk about the actual job itself, and also the Healtech Thunderbox. This is going to be a little mini rave review about that thing in 2 seconds. So as well, to give you the full code, the Stator I've used is an Electrosport ESG958. Now, it is apparently an upgraded performance part, but someone did comment on the last video saying they would have recommended it, but their one actually failed. So I changed this out. It's already done, what, about 800 miles. Most of it not really in traffic though, and most of it not in overly hot weather. So we'll see how it lasts. I'll obviously keep you updated if it fails really quick. But fitment wise and stuff like that, I think is what people are mainly here for. So if you have a Stator fail, and this is a thing with this bike that I'm going to cover in the long-term review, people freak out about the Stators. They get so worried. If you're really that worried, and I know some people do this, they bring one on holidays with them. Personally, what I would do if I was going on a long trip and I was concerned about it, I'd probably just buy a new one and throw it in. Honestly, I got lucky. I mean, this failed before I went to Wales. If it had failed after I went to Wales, it would have sucked a little bit. But because it failed before and I got the part in time, it was absolutely fine. It was like one moderately late evening, and then I had to pack the bike and go, which is why I'm finishing this video now. So, fitment difficulty, honestly not that bad. I would give it like 5, 6 out of 10. There's much worse out there. Accessibility is very good. Obviously if you have the lower fairings like me on your CBF, it is slightly worse, but really and truly it's not so bad. You don't even have to take off all the fairings like I did. I just wanted to show people in the video the visibility of where everything was. so I removed more fairings. You could definitely like be a bit cheekier and kind of break in there a bit more without removing all this stuff at the back of the bike, which I realize you can't see. But you can definitely do it faster. Should a Stator fail like that? Probably not. Is it a big deal? Absolutely not. It's that and the bearing have failed in over 15,000 miles. This is a fantastic bike. But again, long-term review, that's coming up. We'll talk about it soon. The other thing I want to talk about that I mentioned in the previous section of the video I made a couple of days ago is the Healtech Thunderbox. Now the Healtech Thunderbox literally connects to your positive and negative terminals on your battery, and then those little legs that you would have seen earlier in the video with the little clippy clips, you literally put a stripped wire into those and snap them closed. The green wire is live, the black wire is neutral or whatever else. What that does is actually pretty badass. So what I did is I reconnected my heated grips to that control unit, and I connected the SW Motec USB charger thing I got from Freeman's to it as well. And the beauty of it is you don't have to tap into any live wires. Now that's a thing that I know people have said to me before. You can tap into an ignition wire or whatever else, or a switched wire as some people call it, but it's just your ignition. And yeah, you absolutely can, but the problem is it makes stuff hard to remove if you want to take them with you off the bike. Like, I would probably take the USB charger. If I ever sold this bike, I would definitely take off that Thunderbox. The Healtech Thunderbox, for the ease of fitting it, it's absolutely incredible. Literally the whole trip, I didn't have to worry about plugging out my phone. I didn't have to worry about turning off heated grips. It just worked and worked flawlessly. So huge props to Healtech. That little Thunderbox thing, which by the way, once again, I know I've been raving about Healtech recently. I paid for 100% myself. They don't even know I exist probably. Which is fine. I actually like it like that. It means I can review their products properly. And yeah, that little Thunderbox is brilliant. And also not to forget that USB charger from SW Motec, which, to be honest, I just bought the available one. Freeman's had it in stock. It lights up when it's active, so you can actually see when it's active, and it comes with a good rubber stopper to cover it up from rain and the elements when you're not using it. So again, really easy to fit, you know, plenty of cable there. I routed it all in under the tank and just connected it into the Thunderbox, which makes everything switched. And it's just really nice. I'm honestly, now, the way this bike is set up, I would be happy to go anywhere on it. You know, I have plenty of space in all my luggage. I strapped on a dry roll bag on the back for my clothes because I had cameras and tools and stuff in the top case because other people didn't have the same storage I had, so I brought that stuff. Including, you know, like chain lube and whatever else on the trip. I'll put a little clip of the trip up now, actually. Here you go. And you're back with me. But yeah, I'll be doing a video on that soon, but the main thing is I wanted to cover off in this video was mainly the Stator refitting, which you've seen, and also just to shout out Healtech Thunderbox. Other things then is obviously if you reconnect up your Stator and you want to make sure your bike is actually charging, that's what I did earlier in the video, is I made sure that it was above 14 volts. Now this is one thing that kind of gets a lot of people, is, you know, because the manual will say it has to be below 15.5. Obviously above 15.5 is bad, it's overcharging and that's not good, it'll break things. But you can sit anywhere between 14 and 14.5 really, for me, is what I've seen on bikes. I've never really seen much more than that. So where this bike was sitting from 14, 14.2, 14.4, perfectly happy with that. Personally, any bike I've ever tested just from cold, 14.2, 14.4, completely normal. But you know, if you're not comfortable with that, you have to make that decision yourself. I've been asked, am I going to fit a voltage monitor to this bike? Maybe, but like at the same time, you know, if I'm out, like what happened with this one, if I was out in the road and I saw the voltage failing, I'm still going to be stuck on the side of the road. So I'm not sure, you know, is there value in it? You know what I mean? Maybe there is. I'll have a look into it and see what I fit one. But right now I'm very happy with it. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a brand new Stator. Again, an Electrosport ESG 958. One more time, a humongous thank you to Pat in Freeman Motorcycles, the parts man down there, who got this in on time for me on Thursday so I could actually fit it to the bike and bring my beloved CBF to Wales. There's a couple of reasons that I'm so happy I got to bring the CBF. They'll be coming out in future videos, hopefully soon. I have some exciting news coming up, but I really wanted to bring this bike, excuse me, for that reason. Like I said, if you have any questions, I didn't say that yet actually. If you have any questions on the removal or fitting of this Stator, please do let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to try help you where I can. But do bear in mind, I am not a qualified mechanic. I have just learned this stuff through years of working on every form of machinery I can get my hands on, really. That's kind of what I do for the job too, so, you know. But yeah, overall, really pleased with the Stator. Got to do my trip, got to get home. Thunderbox is excellent and the USB charger is excellent. It meant I could just guide everyone around for the whole trip using Google Maps. So yeah, very pleased. If you've watched, thank you very much for watching. If you don't mind, maybe go on to like Freeman's latest post on Instagram and say thanks Pat, just to embarrass him, because I don't know, is he mad into that. So yeah, go on to Freeman's latest post on Instagram, Freeman Motorcycles, Clonmel, and say thanks Pat from me in the comments, and just see what he says. Be interesting. And make Toddy jealous, because Toddy's upset I haven't shouted him out more. There you go, Toddy, you're great too. Get a little shout out. But yeah, that's kind of it. So again, if you have any questions at all on the Thunderbox, the USBs, the Ultimate Allen's phone case that I had that plugged into, the heated grips, anything at all, let me know. Quick little summary again, I did refit brand new Stator. The rectifier tested good. Didn't show you that in the videos, but do look up other videos on how to test a rectifier. And I refitted a brand new battery. Not because the battery was bad, I just didn't want to take any chances since I was leaving literally the next morning at like 5 AM to get to a ferry to go on a trip. So it was worth just changing it for the safety of it all. And yeah, anyway, thank you again for watching. A massive special thank you as always to all of my patrons. I know I have been slipping on the early access and stuff. Most of you who read posts will know why. Just extremely busy. But we'll get back to it very soon. I have loads of ideas in my head, it's just a good time to do them. And yes, I really do appreciate the patience and support, because I do love doing early access for y'all as well. So yeah, anyway, thank you again for watching. Adios. Outro crew, let's take some bets. How long do you think this Stator is going to last? The original, from what I can tell it was original, lasted 25,800 miles. So I'll be interested to see does this one last any longer, because it is apparently an uprated part. And let me know what you think as well, Outro crew. Do you think 25,800 miles is a pretty reasonable level of mileage for a Stator? I actually think it is. I mean, if you got 25,000 miles out of each Stator, not many people are going to do, 100,000 miles on their bike, which means over the life of the bike, most people are going to change it once, realistically, for their ownership. I don't think that's bad. I really think people make a bigger deal about it than it needs to be. But yeah, let me know what you think. Anyway.